Hi everybody, I'm Mike Handcock, the Chairman of the Circle of Excellence Group of Companies. And today we've got, I can actually say, an old friend of mine, Umesh Pherwani, and from Mumbai in India. And Umesh, welcome. The last time we were in India was you and I were on stage, or you, Lundy, and I were on stage. I think that might have been 2018 for the
Yes.
before the lockdown. And so I have to tell you, it's on our come back to list very, very soon. And when we come back, we'd love to do something with you. Umesh, you've had a really interesting life. And why don't you just give people a snapshot of where you've come from as a starting point and what you've done to build your career and the different things that you've done. And I know it's in your first book, I think, but a great snapshot would be a great way to kick this off.
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, Mike, for having me here. It's truly an honor to be a part of this wonderful platform. And let me just add that I am absolutely a big fan of your work and all the coaching that you've been doing. I'm a big fan of your spiritual retreats that you've been conducting, and I really hope and wish to be a part of them someday. And everybody, thank you so much for joining in. First of all, is my voice clear? Am I audible? Great, thank you so much. So my journey actually, started off as a very average nobody. That was during school, but there was always that inner, desire and inner longing to be somebody. I was just a roll number in my school, and if I was absent, they would only know if my roll number was called out and nobody answered. So that was the kind of identity I held in school life. But being an obese kid, I was very fat, and that's what maybe led me to nothing wrong with being fat, of course. Now I understand after all these years. But I realized that I needed to, just bring about a change. And long story short, the journey has been very long, but nevertheless, a long way to go to. So I started off my career. First thing I decided was to just lose weight. I lost 32 kgs in 3 months. Once I put my mind to it, I was featured in newspapers, and people, started talking about me. People noticed me. I went on to do, this whole journey, I'm just putting it in pieces in how it has, formed the person I am. Various, adversities that, set me back, but again, propelled me towards where I am. So if I were to see, 3 big adversities that have, really, really shaken me up, the first one would be losing my dad. The second one would be my divorce. And the third would be losing my job. And these 3 completely shook me up and made me question everything. I went from being a conformist to being the exact opposite. I started questioning everything. I wanted to know, why am I doing what I am doing? And I realized that so many things we are taking for granted, what the society has enforced upon us. And I think it's a big conspiracy theory where, we are coached or kind of conducted into an area where we stop thinking and start conforming. And I think the biggest breakthrough for me was when I stopped conforming, whether it was to any beliefs, whether it was to any ideas, or whether it was about any rituals that I was following for my daily life. So I started my career as a model, then went on to a television show, which was, nominated for the Asian TV Awards. After that, I participated in Mr. India. I won the Mr. India, Mr. Popular Award. Went on to write 2 books on all that I had gathered, information that I gathered. And the first book was written in arrogance with all that I know. And the second book was written with total humility that I don't know anything. So, we all go through these phases, like I mentioned. And after that, I just, this journey was huge, because then I got into flying. I became a flight attendant with KLM Northwest, traveled the world, did my acting, at the same time. On my days off, I would do these episodic shows on television, and got featured in a lot of international magazines as well. Went on to become an MC. So I'm handling 5 different careers now. I know I'm all over the place, but then that's the only best way I can put across all that I have been doing: writing books, hosting shows, conducting training programs. Thanks to Mike, I mean, all the coaching I got from him during the X Factor we had around 12 years back in Mumbai. And so there's a lot that has been going on, but long story short, it's just I followed my heart. I've never followed what people would want me to do. So I'm the black duckling of my family. I'm the one who is always following what I want to do and not what they want me to do. So now they've kind of come to terms with that. So I think
Umesh,
that's
you've had such a varied career, and I mean, you've had times that have been really tough for you, where you've had to go back to, the 9 to 5 grind, sort of lower paid jobs, etc., which in India, as you know, aren't that well paid at all. And then you've had times of standing on stages and winning awards in Bollywood, basically. So I mean, you've been through all of that. You've had your books, which have been very successful. You've drawn big crowds as a speaker, and you've been emceeing backwards and forwards. I notice you're in the Emirates a lot and things like that, and doing stuff in the Middle East. So you're really building your brand outside of India, and you're breaking out of the stereotype, which I find a lot of people have, not just Indians, but I find it in South Africa, I find it in New Zealand. South Africa and New Zealand are very much the same. They say, "Oh, we're at the bottom of the world. Nobody knows about us. Nobody cares about us. They don't take us seriously," type of thing. That's not the case. I find Malaysians and Singaporeans are sort of like, "Well, we're from Asia and nobody really cares about us in the world." Everybody has the same story, and it's really about psychology. But you have this concept that psychology and biology are very, very linked. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the fundamentals. I had heard Elon Musk speak once, and what he said made so much sense to me. And he said that instead of just if there is a battery and you know that it costs this much, and batteries are expensive to manufacture, if we just take that for granted, it's something that we will continue doing. But if we break down the elements, what goes into making of a battery, find out what we can do to reduce that cost, and then just put all these together and make something that looks like a battery. There you have a battery that comes at you at a marginal cost, and you're paying just a small margin then compared to what the world has accepted as a norm. So that really kind of flickered a light bulb in my head, that getting down to basic fundamentals of anything, whether it's living, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's just creating a brand new you, which it's my signature program that I do, just creating a brand new you, which basically is just going into the fundamentals of life. So if we just break those down, I call them, it's an acronym for BEDS, BED with a double S. So breathing, eating, drinking as in water, sex and sleep. So these are the fundamentals of any existing, life. And if we get down to those fundamentals, life gets a lot more easier. Most of the time, what I have seen, especially in India, there's a lot of conformism, and it is instilled right at the time a child, starts gaining some kind of knowledge of the world around him. So conformism is something that it's highly encouraged, whether it's in school or whether it's at home. Parents, and each time they ask you to conform, you are given analogies. All right. So I'll give you a simple example. If my mom wants me to eat more, she'll give me the analogy of a car. She'll say that, see, a car needs to run on fuel. So your body needs to run on food. But I don't buy that analogy now after I realize that my body is not a car. Both work on different mechanisms. And if a body, if a machinery needs oil, that's a different concept altogether. If my body does not need oil, so basically, I went down into doing a diet and nutrition course from Australia to understand the fundamentals of diet. So, like I said, breathing. I did a whole course on understanding breathing. What it is that is exceptionally beneficial to me. So I think I'd like to just highlight everything that has worked for me in this session, so that our wonderful people who have taken the time and energy to join the effort to join this have some takeaways from this entire conversation that I'm having with you. So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
just before
please.
we jump on, Umesh. So I know that you truly believe that every time you've been successful in your life, it's come down to your association with your physical being and what you've done physically, as well as aligning that with spiritual and mental. And I had this experience back in 2012, actually, the same year I think we first met 10 years ago. And I had this experience in India in Pune with Guru Nath. I don't know if you've ever been and visited his ashram, but he said to me, we sat down and he said to me, he said, Mike, he said, you are more busy than Barack Obama, which was pretty true at the time, probably. And he said, you're running here and you're running there. He said, you don't have time to breathe. So now, he said, for the rest of your life, he said, you don't have to worry about breathing anymore because I'm going to breathe for you. And of course, I thought, yeah, right, okay, sure. Who's going to breathe for me? For those of you you can Google Guru Nath, but basically he looks like Santa Claus. That would be my best description of him. And lovely guy. And essentially, so he did this meditation with me, and we joined hands, and he said, "I want you to give over breathing to me." And at the point where I was able in my physicality to give over breathing to him, I literally felt a time where I felt that I'd stopped breathing. And then I literally felt his arms intertwine with mine like branches of a tree intertwining, that we became one. And then suddenly he was breathing for me. And I realized as he was moving his breath, that's what I was experiencing. And so I came out of that procedure very, very changed, in the fact that I realized that the breath work, which is the fundamental of everything, Umesh, as I know you know, and this is where I'd like you to start, is paramount to us maintaining our health, our mindset, our success, our prosperity, and everything else we have in life. The number one fundamental is breath. And maybe you can pick that up and play with that from your perspective.
Great, Mike. And that experience that you went through, I think, must be very profound, having that first-hand experience. Hearing it itself, it sounds, very thrilling. So I'm sure you must have really had a great experience there. So for breathing, what I have seen is most people confuse breathing with meditation, spirituality, or linking to God, and nothing wrong with that. But I think people should understand breathing just with the understanding of breathing. Basically, just like I would, eat a banana thinking that, yes, I'm craving a banana, so I'm having a banana. So breathing has to be basically aware. There has to be an awareness for breathing. And we can do it right now in this very second, There you go. I became completely aware of that breath I just took. And being completely aware is what mindfulness is all about. It brings you into the present moment. And the moment we focus all our thoughts, all our entire energies on that one breath, feeling it as it enters into our body, as we exhale. All that is happening, and if we just feel it, if we completely become aware of it, that's the first fundamental of breathing. Next is I did a lot of dynamic breath work with different gurus and different life coaches, different trainers from all across. Whenever I would travel, I would, research the internet as to what kind of breathwork workshops are happening. And, if I were to condense it down to a couple of things that have really, really absolutely, thrilled me and amazed me with the efficacy right from the first word go. I'm going to share with you. I'm sure, Mike, you must have heard of this gentleman, and maybe some of you have. His name is Wim Hof. He is from Netherlands, and he has come up with a technique called the Wim Hof technique. Now, luckily, it's available free of cost on YouTube. If you go and see it, he's got around 30 million subscribers and over 12 million views on his video. So it's an 11-minute technique. If you just go into your to your YouTube, and you just put into your search bar Wim Hof breathing technique. Now, Wim Hof is a person who's basically won several, it's WIMHOFF. So he's a person who's gone and won several awards. He's been recognized for his ability to be. He's known as the Iceman. So he submerged himself in freezing waters and stayed there for hours. And he's done superhuman stuff. And a lot of there are ongoing studies on him, on how he manages to do that. But it's boiled down to his technique. And this is a technique that you start seeing the benefits of from the first 11 minutes that you start doing it. And whoever I have shared it with, the participants in my conferences or in the seminars I conduct, they absolutely have been, it's like the most prized takeaway for them. It comes at a zero cost. So it becomes a routine that every night before you sleep, you just go ahead and do this breathing technique. So what it does is basically it raises the alkaline level of your blood. Most of our blood, tends to be acidic because of our lifestyle, because of the stress, which has become such a common word. I'm going to be touching on stress also when we talk about the biology aspect of psychology. And so I think, there's several dynamic breathwork methods that can be incorporated. But for me, as of today, Wim Hof technique is the latest go-to technique that I, give 11 minutes of my day to every single day.
And what's it done for you personally, you feel? I mean, we have a client, Robert O'Brien. He's not on the call today, but I think he's actually been to some of the workshops with Wim Hof. And we have Paul on the call today, and he's from the Netherlands. I know he'll be aware of his work very much. But bring it down for you personally. What's it done for you?
Basically, what it gave me was higher energies, great quality of sleep, a larger control over my appetite cravings. Of course, it worked in a very layered way when I tried to question the cravings I was having, whether it was for sweets or for fried food or for anything that wasn't healthy for me. So all that has kind of, helped me gain that kind of mindful awareness of, and letting me be in control. In one line, if I would say, I feel in control after having done this. And he also, kind of talks about cold showers, which Anthony Robbins and a lot of other life coaches do talk about, the benefit of having cold showers. So basically shocking your system to get alert, basically. Release.
Well, I think, I think in Ireland on it's either Christmas Day or Boxing Day, I can't remember which. It's part of Irish culture to go to the sea and to actually swim in the sea. Now, you're swimming in the Irish Sea in the middle of summer would be nasty, but like that's like the dead middle of winter, and they love it. And I've got an Irish business partner in one of our companies, and he lives in Johannesburg, but every morning he's in his swimming pool, 365 days a year. And he has a cold shower after that, and he just totes the benefit of it totally. So I think if anybody's game, there's two really good tips there. But I know and I know Umesh, my friend Glenn Levy, but I know from working with Glenn for many years and on breath work and stuff like that, from a health perspective and also a fitness perspective. The biggest thing that he says most people don't even breathe. In other words, they basically gasp their way through the day. They're sort of like, that sort of thing, instead of just taking that deep breath in. And I've taught one of Glenn's techniques for 15 years from stage, which is just literally teaching people how to take a deep breath and how to hold it and let it out. And it's amazing what it does. And if you ever want to test it, folks, go and get yourself a blood pressure machine, take your blood pressure, then do 3 long breaths, hold it, take the breath in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, let it out for 5 seconds, your blood pressure comes down. It's really amazing. And then we go, why don't we do this, more often during the day to settle ourselves, because we get so darn busy. Umesh, I just wanted to change track a little bit, and we can come back to breathing, but I'm really intrigued. I'm always intrigued by people who have lost weight and who keep weight off. And I think, to be fair, you were somebody who, as you said, as a youngster was very heavy. And, you've had times in adulthood where you started to put that back on. And at the moment, I mean, the first thing I said to you when I saw you on the call before anybody got on was, have you lost weight? So,
Yes.
I don't know, so how much do you weigh at the moment?
Right now I'm 70 kgs.
And how tall are you again?
I'm 5'11". So,
Yeah, 5'11". I thought you were just under 6 foot, and you're 70 kgs. So that's probably one of the lightest that I think that would be the lightest I've seen you. But most people really struggle with diet. And I mean, you live in India, and there's an old joke that there's not really many heavy Indians, because there's 1.3 billion of you, or 130 crore if you like. But I think more importantly than kidding around, you've got a plethora of yummy things around you all of the time. I mean, India is a culinary masterpiece, and Indians love their sweets. I think you have more sweets than any other culture in the world. So tell us about your diet procedure, and tell us what it does for you when you feel at one with your diet and your health, and how that translates into your success at that time.
Wow. First of all, thank you so much for that wonderful question. I'm so glad you asked this. This truly, defines me as a person, my diet, I believe, because, losing weight, not just to, look good or be a model or be an actor or get recognized, but just to, actually be the self that you're designed to be. So for me, my diet, drastically changed. I come from a family of foodies. So I'm the only person in the family who is a foodie but has, diet restrictions. Rest, my entire family, it's a religion we follow. Food is a religion here. So from the time we wake up, not me, I'm the black duck, the black swan over here, but the rest of the family, the only discussion they have is, okay, was being made for breakfast. While eating breakfast, they are discussing what to have for lunch. At lunch, they are discussing the snacks that would go with the tea. And then during that time, they're discussing dinner. And this is a routine, regular, everyday process. And, my non-conformism made me question that. I said, why the hell do I need to, put all that junk into my body? Because it's very rich food, high in fats and saturated fats. And I mean, it's not what I want to put into my body. So, first thing I did was I completely cut off sugar. So I'm really, really happy to say that it's been more than 2.5 years now that I have not, taken any form of sugar uh, ever. In the last 2.5 years, I've been completely off sugar. Absolutely. So there is zero sugar. The only sugar that I get is from natural stuff like fruits. Banana might be the biggest uh, sugar. I might be getting the most sugar out of bananas, maybe. So I have one banana maybe once in a week, and but again, when I discuss my diet, so I just want to warn everybody that it does come across as a little too drastic if you're hearing it for the first time. But trust me, and absolutely becomes a zero effort the once you start progressing in it. So another big change that I made after quitting sugar was intermittent fasting. So again, since the lockdown started, I got down into a diet profile of just finishing off my food by 4 in the evening. I know that's drastic, and by 4 I finish off everything. That's a little too extreme, and in a way, I was experimenting with myself whether I could survive instead of just the regular 9 o'clock 10 o'clock meals that were being cooked in the house. I said, let's cut it down, and I took a drastic step of going all the way up to 4 p.m. in the evening. So I start my day, my food starts at 11 o'clock when I wake up. After that, I start with 2 liters of water, and after that, once I'm just relaxed, I have my cup of black coffee along with sweet potato. Sweet potato is another very underestimated and not given its true what it deserves. It's a superfood. So one sweet potato, uh, are they popular in South Africa, Mike? Sweet
Yeah,
potatoes.
definitely. They're available all over the world. I mean, they're called different things. In New Zealand, they're called kumara, but
Uh-huh.
they are a magical food. There's no doubt about that.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, there's something so amazing about that. Just a sweet potato will satisfy all your cravings for sweets. It satisfies your cravings for carbohydrates. It's nourishing you throughout the day. So one sweet potato is enough for you to nourish and get the required nourishment for a single day, which is brilliant. One sweet potato, and you're done for the day. So, sweet potato is a regular part of my diet. Every morning, I'm having a sweet potato roasted or grilled. Uh, Egg whites. I don't know how popular eggs are in your side of the world, but eggs again, is a very there are mixed reviews on that. But I've seen eggs have really helped me a lot. So if I were to break down the major constituents of my diet, I have a lot of egg whites going in. I have sweet potato. I also went gluten free. So now this is another thing I'd like to touch upon. Now, most people think gluten-free diets are a fad. They think that being going gluten-free is just kind of you're trying to show off that you know about something, or you just trying to be difficult. But gluten, if you research it, it comes from it means glue, basically. Something that binds together, which is a property of certain grains. And what happens is that 95, at least 92 to 95% of people cannot digest it. And most of the gluten intolerance is showcased as mild symptoms which people overlook and just attribute to indigestion, or just they would say that, oh, I didn't sleep well last night, that's why I'm groggy or lazy. But all that has been attributed to gluten. So I did a lot of research during my when I was taking my diploma in dietetics and nutrition. There's also this Dr. Julia Ross from California, who I've read 3 of her books: The Diet Cure, The Craving Cure, and the third one I can't recollect. And all her books talk about understanding this concept and phenomena. So first was completely eliminating sugar from my diet. Second was completely eliminating gluten. So millet is what I changed wheat with. India, our regular diet is more of wheat, okay, and that's a predominant grain over here. So I changed that, and I have moved on to millets. In India, we call it jowar and bajra. So jowar is what I have, bread cooked out of jowar. One piece of bread just has 40 calories, though I don't count calories normally, but I'm just giving it just for an idea for you to understand. Right? Whereas one piece of bread of wheat would be around 180 to 200 calories, but it's not the calorie that demonizes the wheat. It's the content in that grain. It's going to make you groggy. It's going to make you sleepy. It's going to make you lazy. You're going to feel loss of energy. You're not going to have that kind of, after a meal, we are supposed to feel pepped up, they're raring to go, which doesn't come if you're having wheat. So I eliminated all other kinds of bread from my diet and went on to just jowar. So I have just two pieces of that in a day with egg whites. Uh, I know it sounds, a little too drastic, and it just sounds like, oh, how do you survive? What do you do? You're not living your life. You're not. So I have people who have the ideology, we live only once, and live it to the fullest. Eat, drink, be merry. That's I respect that, but that's not me. I believe it's one life, so I'm going to live it to the fullest by incorporating what is the best for me. So I've done my blood work, and because my mom is, I'm the only son, so she's very, very concerned about me. Each time there's a discussion about my diet, I'm put into a corner and criminalized. And she's telling people, make him understand, make him understand. So I said, okay, you know what, let's get my blood work done. Okay. And we will, that is going to be the yardstick now for you to understand if I'm healthy or I'm not. And my doctor who did my blood work, he said, Umesh, and I'm really, really happy to say that without any arrogance, he said, Umesh, you have your body system is that of a 16-year-old. All your organs and functioning of all your organs, your blood work is super exceptional. You've got the body of a 16-year-old. I'm proud to say that because I turned 50 this year. So I'm 49 now. So that really, kind of amazed my mom, and she thought I had bribed him to say that. So
that's amazing, Umesh.
yeah.
I mean, and I was actually thinking before, and this is a credit to you, but I was thinking before, I wonder how old you are now. And I actually thought, I was thinking, how old were you when I met you? And I thought, oh, you were probably 30. So I picked you at, say, maybe 42 or something like that. So, I mean, you look fantastic for somebody who's about to turn 50. And it's so interesting as I look at what you say here in your diet. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to throw this around a little bit, and then we'll jump back into what else you're doing. Because basically, and I put it in the chat here on the screen, but basically you've told me Lundy Jack's diet. This is essentially her diet. Okay, now we're very lucky where we live in South Africa because a lot of cafes now are doing egg white omelets for breakfast. So, including those South Africans on the call, Mug and Bean, which is the biggest probably franchise of cafes in South Africa. And also, as Kirsten puts in here, sweet potato can be made into bread as well. Yes, for the South Africans, you can buy that in all the health food shops. It's the only bread that we actually keep at home. And it's funny, Umesh, because, it takes, weight's one of those things that creeps up on you. And, I had a creep of weight in the last 4 or 5 months as I had COVID, and then I was just eating after that, and then the dog died, so then I ate because he died, and then I got to a point where I'd put on like 3 kg, and I went, that's enough. But that all came from around about the time we last saw each other. We were in America for 3 months before that, and I remember Lundy was in the Whole Foods warehouse buying a few things, and I got on the scales at the front, And she came out, and I'm just sitting there with my head down, and she goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I'm the exact same weight as Homer Simpson."
Wow.
She said,
Wow.
"You can't be." I said, she said, and then she said, "How do you know that?" I said, "I remember on a TV show, I was watching The Simpsons once, and said Homer Simpson's 220 pounds. And I thought, wow, that's heavy. I never want to be that. And of course, in America, all the scales are in pounds. And I got on this, that's 100 kg. And, my weight, normally I'll never be 70. I don't think I've been 70 since I was like 14 maybe. But my normal weight is between 80 and 85, and I got up to 100. So basically, I got that down to about 83 over the next 9 months through intermittent fasting, through no sugar. I don't drink, so that wasn't an issue. Primarily gluten free, and also doing quite a bit of keto as well. And that's what's been 5 years now, say so. And it's up 3 kgs now, and I noticed, the other day it's coming back again. So it'll probably be back to my normal weight. So, and it's not hard. I don't feel that I miss out. And we're not as strict as you. We have a cheat day every Saturday. So Saturday's cheat day. So I think different people can do this in different ways. Steve's asked here, Umesh, do you use any fermentation techniques in your cooking or food preparation?
That's a brilliant, brilliant question, and I would have overlooked that, if it wouldn't have been asked. So thanks, Steve, for that question. So yes, I do use a lot of fermented foods, and by fermented I mean basically, yogurt, basically. So instead of oil, any kind of oils that we use. See, there's a whole myth surrounding that you cannot cook without oil. In India, especially, I don't know how the cooking regime is in your side of the world.
It's the same, although we use our air fryer now, so air fryers are amazing.
Air fryers are amazing, but still they're taking a certain amount of oil, right? For me, I am the extremist, so I am known as the extremist amongst the circle that I am in. And because I always start off with the extreme rather than taper down my intake. I always believe, just give it one go and get it done with. So same way with oil, I have been completely oil free. And if you research the vegetable oils that are being consumed for daily cuisines, they are they are refined, they are highly processed and refined, which completely kills off all the flavor, it kills off all the nourishment in it and what we are putting into our body. In India, if you see above 50, most of the aunts, uncles, or people in my family above 50 have knee problems. They have osteoporosis, or they have arthritis, bone problems, and I attribute that largely to the oil going into our systems every single day. So what they say is that, no, we need the oil because we need to oil our joints. That's the analogy, that just like a machine needs oil, our body needs oil. So like I said, these are analogies that have no basis. Just because the two things have a couple of similar things going for them doesn't make them completely similar. And
no, you're so right. And I mean, again, Lundy is basically oil free as well. And that was actually a COVID thing. When she got COVID and she came out of it, she lost her smell and taste. And the one thing that she's not been able to eat, the smell of oil just makes her smells like diesel to her. So she can't eat anything that's got oil in it. And that's been really, really good to her physically. Whereas I still eat a little bit, but nowhere near as much. And when we air fry, we don't use any oil whatsoever, which you can also do. They say you've got to use it, but we don't. It works out fine. I've got a great question here from Elry. Then I've got another question for you myself. Elry's asking, how about bread baked from almond flour, eggs, and plain sugar-free yogurt? Eggs can be only white, so it's totally gluten-free.
So that's I'm not Elry. Am I saying the name right?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Yes. So this question that you asked, was the same dilemma I faced, because luckily I have a partner, my wife, who believes in my mindset, and that's a huge relief for me, because finding the right partner becomes such a, like you and Landy, Mike, I mean, you have such a great connect. It just, the chemistry is very evident. So I've been lucky to find a life partner who has the same mindset as mine and supports my lifestyle. So earlier, before I was married, I was always, just, I remember I went on this, I was in the newspapers for that. If you just Google Umesh Pherwani weight loss, it talks about the drastic diet I took of just eating. In India, we call them, it was a legume, basically, a green lentil called moong. So I don't know what you call it over there, but it's called
Yeah,
moong over
it's
here.
probably the same.
Yeah,
Mung.
mung. Yes, exactly. So the green lentil, the whole one. So I would just boil that in water, and that was a major. I came up with a diet called MACE diet, MACE. These were the only four things I was consuming for 3 months, which was just apples, A for apples, uh, M for moong, C for black coffee, and E for egg whites. Nothing other than this entered into my system. It was too drastic. I, kind of malnourished myself also. But I was in the Times of India for that, a whole page article. Even if you Google today, Umesh Pherwani weight loss, you will see my before and after pictures. So I don't recommend that diet, because at that time I was constrained because I was busy with my acting, my flying, and at home my mom would cook for me, and she said it's impossible to cook without water. So coming to your question, Elri, when you put together these ingredients to bake bread, I think that's simply marvelous, brilliant. So my wife came up with different ingredients to put together different kind of delicacies for me. So she makes gluten-free cakes for me with zero sugar. She just puts in a scoop of whey protein. She uses some millet flour. She uses some grinded oats, some yogurt, and a banana, and it turns out so delicious. I'm practically thinking of starting a business, and because each person who has visited my home and tasted that has fallen in love with that recipe. So long story short, yes, this is a great recipe. Again, I'm going to ask my wife to try it. Let me just go through it again. So you're using almond flour, you have egg whites, uh, sugar-free yogurt, of course, and gluten-free. Yes. This would be brilliant to bake your bread. Excellent. Almonds are very good for you, and in fact they assist you in weight loss also at the same time. So thumbs up to that recipe. Excellent.
Great. Umesh, tell me now, how has this mindset of diet affected your career and the way people are seeing you in the industry? Because, I don't know that people here could really appreciate, unless they've actually been involved in Bollywood, in the entertainment industry in India. Um, you know, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. The world's got a bet. We've got a bet each way. But if your last movie didn't make you like $1 billion in India, nobody wants to talk to you for the next 2 years. Just ask Sanjay Dutt, right? So, so I think you've been in a situation where you've got all these people looking at you for this reason of your mindsets and your diets and the way you approach life and things like that. How's this affected you, and what have you learnt from it? And how's it affected your career, positively or negatively?
That's a good question, Mike. I don't know whether it's affected it positively or negatively, my career per se, but what it's affected is basically my mindset. It's allowed me to believe that, age is just a number. And I've seen the mindset of when I go down for my school reunions, and it's so shocking and, saddening to see that my dear friends have just let go of themselves. I see their pictures on WhatsApp groups, and, they're boasting of huge beer glasses and you know uh, stuff that they eat along with that, and they feel that, and their mindsets have been that, oh, we are now 50, lives, we have lived our lives, now we just need to just relax and do everything. But that, I mean, I don't think that's what creates true happiness. True happiness comes from, living to your fullest. So as for my career, I think it's affected me in a way where I get a lot of compliments. I get a lot of people. It's helped my life coaching career because I get a lot of clients who, are willing to pay the big bucks to just do a one-on-one consultation with them for diets. Though I give a disclaimer there that, I am just a diploma in dietetics and nutrition. I am not qualified to, give you a diet. But in spite of that, they want me to write down a diet for them, and so I just give them these guidelines. And as per my Bollywood career goes, I have consciously stayed away from movies as of now, uh, largely because I am following so many career paths. As an MC, I have done more than 1450 shows globally in 37 countries, hosting shows. So I just follow my heart rather than get a distinction in
Well,
one
I
career.
love that. I love that, Umesh, because I mean, I think, if you follow your heart, you'll never be disappointed. Your heart never disappoints you. You may not have a success in something, but then there's a learning there or somebody you meet or something. But when we tend to follow our heads, which we were taught in school, I mean, honestly, it doesn't work out that well for many people. But what's the best place for people to contact you if they want to have a chat with you as well about their own situation?
Yes, so great way would be to email me. It's very simple, info@umeshpherwani.com. That's my email ID.
Yep.
Also, Instagram is a great place where I'm very active on. I've just started my YouTube channel and I'm very, very excited about that. So I do talk about it in all my interviews. I've just got 144 subscribers yet. But I'm very happy that on Instagram I have 93,000 followers. So I'm surely hoping
Really?
that
Wow, that's very good.
I'm hoping
I
that
didn't
will
know that.
translate into YouTube. Yeah.
We need to get you back on this. We need to get you back on this show to basically ask you how to build a following on Instagram. Steve's asked here, how do you manage your diet and food intake whilst traveling?
Great question. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? That was a huge excuse for me for a long time. Because of my career, I also have been a stand-up comedian since you mentioned Chris Rock over here. So at one time, I was amongst the first two or three people who were doing stand-up comedy in India. This was in 2007. So, of course, because of the nature of comedy in India as of now, where everybody's become non-tolerant to whatever views you express. I was left with very few topics to talk, and amongst them, I would just talk about my wife. So that I did. Even that, I did a show in Coimbatore, and I offended some women over there just because I was talking about my wife. So, anyways, coming back to your question, while traveling, it was a huge excuse for me that I am surprisingly one of those people, or was one of those people who likes airplane food. So, every time I traveled, if I'm going to Spain or if I'm going to Amsterdam or if I'm traveling to, on these long haul flights, I would look forward to the meals. But that became an excuse that, oh, anyways, I'm traveling, so I can't eat my healthy food here. But then I threw that excuse out of the window and I said, irrespective, what if I have no option? What if I'm not allowed to eat this food? What am I going to do next? And from that question emerged the answer to, basically find the best alternative. So even if I'm in Amsterdam, which is, known for its amazing fries, the streets of Amsterdam smell of awesome fries with mayonnaise and sambal sauce. Oh my gosh. Or, I even like something which is in Amsterdam called Mayo's. It's a veg falafel, but it's deep fried. So I, completely cut that off. I said, no ways, I'm going to stick to, meals that I can cook in my hotel room, and even if they are
Yep.
limited. Yeah,
And
because
actually, I think it's, as somebody who's traveled for the last 20 plus years, I think it's a bit of a misnomer that you break your diet. It's really a mindset thing, as you say, because, even in America, and I've lived in America twice, and there's some wonderful healthy alternatives in America, and there's some great salad places and things like that. You don't have to go overboard, and I think recently Lundy and I learned that we buy a salad and we share it, and and they look at you funny, but bad luck for them, because that solves the problem. I'm back to
Yes.
Ellery for a minute. We've just got a few minutes left on the call.
Yes.
Ellery's got a recipe here for gluten-free bread, folks. 250 mils of mixed seeds, 250 mils of almond flour, 30 mils of psyllium husk, 10 mils of gluten-free baking powder, 5 mils of salt, 250 grams of buttermilk and Greek yogurt, 6 egg whites. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees, grease a loaf tin, mix the dry ingredients together, mix wet ingredients together and combine with dry ingredients. Pour mixture into prepared loaf tins, sprinkle the top with poppy and sesame seeds and bake for 50 minutes. I read that out for those of you that are going to be listening to this on the audio later so that you can go back and look at that. But why not give that a good try? So there's a
Yes.
gluten-free bread recipe. Umesh, in terms of bringing this to a close, what would you like your final sort of messages to be for people?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I feel I'm not entitled to give a message yet, in terms of being authorized to do that. But I can share what has really helped me in my,
Yeah.
uh, life. And that has been basically just becoming very aware of everything, right from my breathing to every little thing that I put into my body. A lot of times we are governed by our desires, our feelings, so if I'm feeling hungry, I question that too. I first satisfy my thirst. Each time I feel hungry, I go and have a liter of water. And then I ask myself, am I really hungry? Or it was just thirst? Most of the time, there's a research that, it's your thirst that is being, misunderstood by your brain as hunger. So that's one of the things that just becoming completely self-aware of every little thing, because you deserve it. My entire signature program is about creating a brand new you, but I've not held back anything that I would not share here, or I would only share in my signature program. These are the things that I share in my signature program with all the participants. So basically just becoming completely self-aware. We do an exercise where we sit and just watch the clock for one whole minute, which completely allows you to understand patience, and understand that there is a lot you need to be aware of. Most of the time we just get caught up our subconscious minds. And just one more thing I'd like people to to get one more takeaway from this session, Mike, if I have your permission. uh,
Sure.
is Most people, the most common question I get is that I have a sweet tooth. I cannot quit sugar. They feel that it's something they are born with and they cannot. So now I did a lot of research in that when we crave sweets. So what I found out, and thanks to Dr. Julia Ross from California, I just mentioned her. She mentions that our craving for sugar is largely due to an imbalance of amino acids in our system, and by replacing or supplementing with some amino acid, and she says glutamine. I'm not prescribing this, but I personally take glutamine. It's a very healthy health supplement you can get in any of the health stores. I am just sharing what I do, and that largely, I think out of 100%, I can owe 100% to that, for me, helping me overcome my sugar cravings. So glutamine is the secret to that. If you just have a tablespoon, it's a very sweet, it's a very pleasant tasting amino acid that you can get at any health food store. And the moment you start ingesting that, you can have it with water or with your protein. It just completely helps you overcome your cravings for sugar. You don't, I mean, you become more aware of the cravings, and you are in a better position to say no to sugar. So
Yeah,
it has
very good
absolutely
point.
worked. It
Very
absolutely
good point.
works. Yes.
That's really great. I think we've got so much advice on this. And yeah, thanks everybody. Paul, you're going on your pilgrimage, walking the Camino, and next week, so that's fantastic. And we'll see you again in May. Be safe on that. And if there's any final question for Umesh, just maybe I'll just ask you guys to sort of raise your hand, and I'll just check and make sure. Otherwise, I think we're good. We've covered so much ground. No, I don't see any hands up. Umesh, I want to thank you very, very much. It was a really fantastic session. I think there's just so much value in there for people. If you did get on the call late because of daylight savings, it could be your fault, Philippe, could be my fault. I'm missing Melbourne on the timing on the mailer out, but we've got people from all around the world on this call, and so it's wonderful. Go and look at the recording. We'll post the recording as soon as it's live, and you can go back to that and look at Umesh as well. Umesh, thanks, my brother, and I look forward to seeing you in India, unless you come to South Africa for some reason.
I look forward to that. That's on my bucket list. I have to do that. And thank you everyone for joining. And Mike, thanks to you. You are a rock star in the true sense. So, I am absolutely in awe of you and Landy and all that you've been doing, all your work. I've been following your posts on Instagram, on Facebook, and, I've been keeping in touch with all your latest updates. So please keep it up and keep inspiring us.
You're very, very kind. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.